Well, joining me right here in studio to discuss all the latest updates on day 104 of war is Reserve Colonel Dr. Moshe Elad, the former IDF coordinator to the Palestinian Authority on Security Issues and a lecturer at the Western Galilee Academic College. As I said earlier before the broadcast, it's nice to see you in studio as opposed to online. One of the big reports in the past hour came out by the Financial Times, and it indicated that Arab countries, as sort of a unified coalition, are planning in the next couple of weeks to present a deal that would include a ceasefire in Gaza, the release of hostages from the Strip, and possible normalization between Israel and Saudi Arabia. But nowhere in there did it mention anything about a Palestinian state, which is many countries in the region, including the United States, one of Israel's foremost backers and support systems, has indicated it cannot have one without the other.
It's quite overwhelming to hear all this in one, package. Let's deal one by one. The coalition that you just mentioned, it's not a new issue. We have heard about that because they have their interest to stop the Israeli occupation and to get Israel out of there. They would like to see, that a lot of noise it causes in every single capital in the world. So they would like to see how those people are released, the hostages. And the problem that has not been solved at all, what will be with the headquarters of Hamas, means Marwan Issa and Mohammed Deif and, of course, Sinwar. What will be? Israel is completely against any compromise that will leave these people there, which means that we are going to square one. On the other hand, I don't believe that the Hamas leadership will be able to confirm any deal without staying in Gaza. They don't want to go out like Arafat in '82. So I'm not optimistic about the possibility to have it, in the next future. In any case, the Palestinian state, it's a whole story and it's a different ballgame. You're not talking about, you don't put it together because Israel won't be able to deal with so many problems at a time. We'll have to fix, first of all, the Gaza issue, Lebanese issue, and maybe number 3 will be the Palestinian state, maybe.
It would appear that with all this talk, the two parties involved that are sort of being spoken around and not included are the Israelis and the Palestinians themselves. And that would appear the case because today at Davos, obviously the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, the Israeli president, sitting next to a photo of one of the hostages, Kfir Bibas, who is celebrating his first birthday today, made mention that Israelis under no circumstances right now are even contemplating a peace deal. And on the Palestinian side, it's been made pretty clear over the last couple of months with regards to a lot of these polls coming out of the West Bank and Gaza that the Palestinians support Hamas, which Israel's trying to eradicate. And thus, how are we talking about any kind of peace deal when there's no partners for peace?
We don't have. This is the truth. First of all, you can see that inside the Palestinian Authority, you'll find in the last year, for example, many police officers from the Palestinian Authority that participated in a terrorist attack, and they got killed and became shuhada, shahid. And the Palestinian Authority is telling that, to all the people in the world. Why? Because they would like to win so-called the support of the street, to be equivalent to Hamas. None of them have left, the idea of uprooting Israel or the Zionism from Israel. None of them, neither Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority. So the only difference is that we have some kind of cooperation, coordination, communication with the Palestinian Authority, while Hamas is still a very tough enemy that we are shooting each other. That's the only. But make no mistake, the Palestinian Authority now, at these very days, intelligence officers in Israel are afraid that they will change their minds and there might be a change in the Palestinian Authority towards what they call, to vice versa the rifles. They are afraid of that. It happened in 1996 while we had the tunnel events, if you remember, September 1996, and we had it already. We shoot each other, by the way, at that time. We don't want to have it again. So we have to be very careful while we're talking about, you know, if Hamas is an enemy, how do you call the Palestinian Authority? People used to call them frenemy, like friends and enemy that you are not sure about who is who, you know. This is much worse than when you know your enemy, because this is exactly what happened in 96.
Well, as they say, keep your enemies close or your friends close, but your enemies even closer. Another top story today is obviously the deal that was agreed through by both France and Qatar, as well as Egypt, to get medication that is desperately needed to the hostages. For every box of medicine that's delivered to one of the 40-something of the 136 hostages that needs it, 1,000 boxes goes to the Palestinian civilians. What's interesting now, in terms of an update, is the Red Cross, who Hamas, one of their senior officials, and I'll read you the statement that he posted on X, formerly Twitter, that they will deliver all medicines, including the ones destined for the hostages, to hospitals serving all parts of Gaza. That in reference to the International Red Cross. But the International Red Cross is now saying that they have no part in any of this medication. So how can we take Hamas's word that this medication is going to get to the hostages?
It's not surprising at all. People said that from the very beginning, at least myself. They will play on our nerve and they will try to do whatever is needed to win so-called psychological war. They do that all the time. And even when you hear about a deal with the Palestinian, with Hamas, always suspect that, because this is exactly what I was suggesting to do. I'm not surprised. They do that all the time, and you know what? Then you see the weakness of this ICRC. They should be a little bit tougher. They should work from the very beginning. So everything they do is just, you know, we cannot do that. We are not able to do that. It's not in our capacity. Come on, you are in favor of well-being of everybody in this region. What do you mean you don't have to do that? In any case, I won't take it for sure. I believe that Hamas is trying to mislead everybody, not only us, also Qatar. And you know what? I'm afraid, because it looks like they don't have anything to lose. What Sinwar is doing now is afraid. I guess he feels that the army is very close to him. I'm sure that he has all the human shields around. But he said, okay, I don't have anything to lose. What should I do? Look at the baby of 1 year old. He's not releasing a baby of one, you know, today is celebrated his birthday. You can imagine what kind of monster we have down there in those tunnels. So are you surprised by the medication issue? Look at what's going on with other issues. They are much tougher.
Doctor, stay with me, because I want to touch on exactly what you just brought up. Today being Thursday, January 18th, also marks, as we've been discussing here in studio, undoubtedly the saddest birthday in the world. That is because it is Bibas's first birthday. The only celebrations taking place will be without this beautiful red-headed birthday boy, who, along with his 4-year-old brother Ariel and their parents Shiri and Yarden, have been held hostage in Gaza by Hamas, since they were all abducted from Kibbutz Nir Oz on October 7th. His birthday also comes following an all-important deal that was reached that would see medication delivered to the other hostages that are still being held in the Strip. I-24 News senior defense correspondent Jonathan Regev tells us more.
The planes carrying the medical assistance to the Gaza hostages and to the residents of Gaza landed at the El Arish airport in Egypt. It then made the short trip, some 20 miles, to the Rafah crossing and into the Strip. Once that happened, as always, it's in the hands of Hamas.
We have said that our people will not have to stand in line behind someone else if there is any initiative to send medicine. It must include our people, and the provider should be the Palestinian people.
Israel has reportedly agreed to the condition by Hamas, 1,000 boxes of medicines for the Gaza residents, in return for every box transferred to the hostages. The only problem is that no one can guarantee that the life-saving medicine meant for the hostages will actually reach them, only that an effort will be done to facilitate it.
We are making every possible effort, along with Qatar, who moved the process forward, to make sure the medicines reach the hostages, because they desperately need them.
Their family members are demanding to get some proof, adding that the current mechanism is simply not good enough.
Hamas getting food, getting medicine, getting fuel, and we're letting it just getting to Gaza.
Hamas is getting all this, while the youngest hostage, Kfir Bibas, did certainly not get a cake for his first birthday, happening today.
This is Kfir Bibas. Kfir today is celebrating 1 year to his birth. Exactly a year ago, he was born to his parents, Shiri, his mother, and his father, Yarden, and his brother, Ariel. And Kfir, his whereabouts are unknown.
Kidnapping babies. This is what Hamas is all about.
Still with me in studio is Reserve Colonel Dr. Moshe Elad. Moshe, there seems to be a major misconception that Israelis don't care about the loss of life in the Gaza Strip amongst the Palestinians. Let me say I don't plan to speak for the entire country, but as a journalist, as an Israeli, as a Jew, any loss of life is abhorrent, it is gut-wrenching, and it is tragic. And in times of war, in particular, war is messy. It's not straightforward. But a war is supposed to be fought between combatants, being the IDF and Hamas terrorists. Unfortunately, citizens are being involved in that, and we've learned over the past couple of months that is because Hamas is involved in a double war crime of shooting at civilians hiding behind them. But how? How can anyone in the world justify taking hostages that are children, women, the elderly, and even men that are still being held in the Gaza Strip, that are not active soldiers, that are not even on reserve duty, but are fathers?
This is about Hamas. Those who know Hamas and understand what Hamas is won't be surprised, because this is a type of an organization that had nothing, as I just mentioned, had nothing to lose. Look, they are using so-called asymmetric war. It's a kind of a warfare that they would shoot behind the kids, behind babies, behind women, just to put you in a trap so you'll kill innocent people. We know that. So when they are kidnapping kids, and don't forget what they did on October 7th, the beheading, and they raped. You know what? I'll tell you something that I heard yesterday, and I'm telling you it's true. They raped girls about 14 and 15 years old, and they won't release them until they give birth, in order to let the baby be born there. And as they say, why not with nice hair, with nice eyes, blue eyes, he will have one. And I can tell you, you'll see that those who are saying that know what they are saying. So it's somebody who called from Gaza and said that. So can you imagine to what extent this can go? I mean, the hatred, and it's over politics. So when you ask about, what was going on with the hostages is just one of them, of the evil that Hamas is educating. By the way, Daesh, ISIS hadn't done that. They did other evils, but not this type. Why? The hatred to Israel is so deep. It's so big. It's so, I would say, endless. A hatred and hostility that is not existing in the world. It doesn't exist. This is a very unique hatred between Hamas and Israel. I'm not saying all Palestinians, but Hamas definitely, that just was expressed on October 7th. We knew that all the years.